Hello and welcome to Win Over Depression. I am your host, Tamera Trotter. This podcast is dedicated to those who suffer with a mental illness but try every single day to feel better. It's also dedicated to those who have loved ones who suffer in silence and want everyone to know about this debilitating condition. You know, depression is one of the most undertreated conditions in the entire world. Did you know that every 50 seconds someone is taking their life? It is truly a pandemic, and we must do what we can to spread awareness about mental health. Today, we'll be talking about mindset and how important your mindset is when it comes to really everything in life, but definitely when it comes to managing your mental health. So what is your current mindset? Do you feel as if you are now in a place where you can overcome your circumstances and get to that place in life where you deserve? Are you accepting of your condition? That's one of the first things that we have to do. Once we accept that we suffer with a mental illness, we are in a much better place to now put into action a plan that is going to help us manage our care. Self-care is also the key to feeling better. Every morning you should get up, take a shower, don't stay in bed. Make sure you have a plan for the day. Eat a healthy breakfast. Make sure that you're getting in a lot of protein. Make sure you're eating leafy vegetables. Stay away from candy and sugary drinks. That's one of the things that you can do to practice self-care when it comes to managing your mental health. Set realistic goals. Break tasks into smaller, manageable steps, and make sure that you are able to achieve the realistic goals that you have set for yourself. Remember to celebrate the small wins. Engage in some activities that bring you joy and give you a sense of accomplishment. It's so important that we also focus on the present. When we focus on the future and what we think the future may entail for us, it sometimes makes us sad, but we can never know what the future will bring because we can't determine that. We have to live in the present moment, deal with whatever is in front of us. Sure, we can plan for the future, but we should not be so focused on the future that we cannot focus on what is in front of us. We have to be patient and persistent. We have to make sure that when we are managing our mindset, that we are not surrounding ourselves with people who exude negativity. I know it seems like a laundry list, but there are so many things that we need to continue to do in order to keep our depression at bay. We need to limit or completely take out alcohol. If you can just limit it, it's going to help you. But if you can reduce it immensely, you're going to feel that much better. How about your sleeping? Are you able to sleep? Getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep every single night is essential. And that is why I wanted to share with you that Win Over Depression is currently on TikTok. And on Monday, February 26th, we will have a live and free webinar. In order to register, all you have to do is go to the Win Over Depression TikTok page, and on my bio, you will see a link that says Pensight, PENSIGHT.com. Click on that link and it will take you to register for the webinar. There are 2 sessions on that day. One will take place at noon Pacific Standard Time, and the second one will take place at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Come and find out ways that you can overcome your mental illness. I will also be sharing a brand new mental health diary that I have, as well as an ebook. So I hope to see you there. Remember, giving up is never an option. Stay in the game of life. Hello, and welcome to Win Over Depression. I am your host, Tamera Trotter. This podcast is dedicated to those of us who suffer with the mental illness, but who are trying every single day to understand our disease and to live the best life possible. This podcast is also dedicated to those individuals who are trying to understand this disease so that they can be more supportive to those friends or family who suffer with a mental health condition. Today on Win Over Depression, we will be talking about courage. So let us first define what is meant by courage. Courage is the choice and willingness to confront agony, pain, danger, uncertainty, or intimidation. Valor is courage or bravery, especially in a battle. So every single person who suffers with the mental illness and gets up every single day is absolutely a courageous individual. Because when you suffer with the mental illness and you know that your day is going to be uncertain, because when you get up in the morning, you don't know how the day is going to go, because eventually the depression shows up in some shape, form, or fashion, and you're not sure if you're going to have the strength or the courage to make it through. And that's why in many of my episodes, I talk about how when you suffer with the mental illness, you have to rise to the occasion every single day. It's like being in the fight for your life every single day. Because guess what? No one gets a pass when it comes to having to provide for yourself, having a means to pay your rent or pay your mortgage or pay your bills. No one gets a pass, not even those who suffer with the mental illness. So we have to be courageous in order to fight the battle that's in front of us. And do we get tired and discouraged at times? Absolutely. But what we have to realize is that depression is not our fault. It's due in large part to a chemical imbalance in our brain. And when we realize and accept that, then we are closer to being able to put together a tangible action plan. And so I want you to remember that even on days when depression wins and gets the best of you, you still are courageous, because you still have the opportunity to live and to fight another day. But it's when we feel so hopeless and helpless that we just give up. And when we start to give up and give in to our symptoms of depression, that is what prolongs the episode of depression. And that's what causes us to sink into that quicksand. So we have to be mindful and proactive when we feel that coming on, so that we can overcome and be able to get out of that situation. I used to remember years ago when I suffered from depression, how I could be depressed for 2 weeks at a time, sometimes a month at a time. But I've been able since then, due to some hard work that I've put into place and really just challenged myself, to where I can usually get out of an episode of depression within 24 hours. And so I know that if I can do it, you could do it. If you told me when I was feeling so depressed that I would be able to produce a podcast and be consistent every single Friday with dropping a new episode, I would have said absolutely not. So I am living proof that if I can do it, you can certainly do it. All it takes is some courage on your part and you being committed and willing to do the work. And the truth is, some of us are just not as strong as others. But whatever you can do to strengthen yourself, it's going to help you dealing with your mental illness. So, because each day can be a daily struggle, it's going to take courage to face the day with a relentless resolve in order to get out of bed in the morning, engage in self-care activities, or simply face the day's challenges. And it's even more difficult because of the pandemic and everything that has happened. And there are so many people who are experiencing mental illness and fighting depression for the first time in their lives. And unfortunately, some people ended up committing suicide. And I'll just be very honest with you. Some people just could not handle everything that was going on during this pandemic, and they took a very serious attitude toward it and decided to just not be here anymore, and left the people behind who never thought that they suffered from any type of mental illness. Those people were devastated over their friends and loved ones committing suicide. And that's why this podcast and the work that I do with mental health is so very important to me. Because if I can save the life of one person, all the work that I do is more than worth it. So just know that you are going to have setbacks when it comes to dealing with your mental illness. So expect it. Just do not let it consume you. And on the days when you have a setback, just wait for the next day to come and try again. Even if you have 2 days in a row where you're just not able to get out of bed, or you're just not feeling up to talking on the phone or being around anyone, that's fine. Just know that when you're able to be vulnerable enough to share your situation with a loved one, then you'll have an accountability partner that you can speak to on days when you're down. Because people who suffer from depression suffer in silence because of the embarrassment. And I remember believing when I was first diagnosed that I didn't want anybody to know, because I thought that it was a weakness. And I said, I'm not a weak person, so I don't want people to think I'm weak. So I didn't want to tell anybody. And so when we are dealing with this battle against mental illness, courage is not always loud or visible, because courage is sometimes found in the quiet moments of perseverance and resilience. And when we choose to seek help despite the fear of judgment or the stigma, then we know that we're really being proactive when it comes to fighting our mental illness. And so what baffles me is the fact that anyone who suffers with a medical condition like heart disease or diabetes or a thyroid condition, we are willing to take the medication without even thinking twice. But when it comes to taking medication for a mental illness, all of a sudden, we just don't want to take it. And I just don't understand that. There is no difference in you having a physical ailment versus a mental health condition. And when you decide that that is true, then you can get yourself